Okay, so let's talk about Tammy Leppert. She was a model, an actress, and she was right on the verge of becoming a huge star. But then, right as her career was about to explode, she just vanished. Today, we're going to try to unpack the really enduring mystery of what happened to her.
So get this. In 1983, Tammy lands a role in the legendary film Scarface. Now, it was a small part, for sure, but it was in a really memorable, pretty brutal scene in one of the biggest movies of the decade. This should have been a massive stepping stone for her career.
But instead, that scene in Scarface would be her very last on-screen appearance. Just a few days after she wrapped filming, the 18-year-old disappeared from Cocoa Beach, Florida. And just like that, she was gone, leaving behind this puzzle that has stumped investigators for decades. So, what on earth could have happened? To really understand the mystery, you first have to know who Tammy was before she disappeared. She wasn't new to this at all. She was already a seasoned professional, a real star in the making, who had basically grown up in the spotlight. And her success was, well, it was staggering. She started doing pageants when she was only 4 years old. By the time she was a teenager, she'd been in almost 300 contests and won 280 of them. That's just incredible. She was a constant familiar face in the winner's circle. All that success in pageants naturally opened the door to modeling and acting. She started landing parts in movies like Little Darlings and the classic 80s teen flick Spring Break. In fact, and this is a pretty cool piece of trivia, her torso, hips, and legs were actually used for the main movie poster for Spring Break. For her, Hollywood seemed like the next logical step. But right when everything was supposed to be taking off for her, something went terribly, terribly wrong. In the weeks leading up to her disappearance, Tammy's whole personality went through this sudden and frankly terrifying change. A close friend said that after the filming of Spring Break, Tammy went to a party. When she came back, she was, in her friend's words, a different person. The outgoing, bubbly, confident young woman she'd always been was gone. In her place was someone who was intensely paranoid, completely convinced that somebody was out to kill her. Her behavior got so bizarre and erratic that her own mother had her admitted for a medical evaluation. But after a 72-hour hold, the doctors let her go. They found absolutely no signs of drugs or alcohol to explain the severe paranoia, and, that just makes the whole thing even more mysterious. And all of this leads us to that final, fateful day. On July 6, 1983, the now fearful and profoundly changed Tammy Leppert was seen for the very last time. So here's what we know for sure about her last hours. She was in Cocoa Beach, she was wearing a pretty distinctive blue denim shirt and skirt, she was with a male friend who told the police they got into an argument while he was driving. He said he dropped her off in a parking lot, and he was the last known person to ever see her alive. And right away, this creates a huge conflict at the very heart of the investigation. Because while the police have always said this friend is not a suspect, Tammy's mother has consistently claimed that her daughter was actually really afraid of him. So in the years that followed, the search for Tammy led investigators down some really dark roads, even connecting her case to some of the most notorious criminals of that whole era. Two major persons of interest came up. First, there was Christopher Wilder. He was a serial killer they called the Beauty Queen Killer because he was active in Florida and would lure models with fake job offers. Then there was John Crutchley, a convicted kidnapper who police suspected in dozens of murders in that same area. But authorities were never able to find a definitive link between either of these guys in Tammy's case. So beyond those known killers, other theories started to pop up. Tammy's mom has long believed that her daughter's paranoia was actually real, that she had somehow stumbled onto a local drug trafficking ring and was silenced because of what she knew. And then, to add another layer of weirdness, an unidentified woman actually called detectives twice, claiming that Tammy was alive and well and was planning to go to nursing school. So with all these different threads, why has this case stayed unsolved for so long? Well, it really comes down to the passage of time, combined with some really critical problems in the original investigation. It's just created this wall of silence. As of right now, Tammy Leppert has been missing for 42 years. Just think about that. Her entire life, her career, her future is all just frozen in time, right back to that day in 1983. A huge reason this case is so cold is the state of the physical evidence. I mean, it's great that her DNA is on file now, but back then, crucial identifying info was just mishandled. Her dental records? They were lost by investigators because of poor record keeping, and her fingerprints were never even accessed by the local police. In an era before DNA databases, that stuff was everything. Losing those records was a truly devastating blow to the case. Which leaves us with this final, haunting question. You have a young woman who vanishes right on the cusp of fame, right after this sudden, terrifying descent into fear. And with decades gone by and so much critical evidence lost to time, you have to wonder, will we ever really know the truth about what happened to Tammy Leppert?